Hello, this is Niki from Trashgoblins Inc. We are, well, you know what we're doing right now. We are in full con crunch mode, getting ready for C2E2, which starts tomorrow. Me and Mike are finishing up some costumes. We just went to the convention center today to set up our booth. We were so excited to do that. It was hectic trying to figure everything out, but we got it. It's there. It's magnificent. We can't wait for you to see it. So as, you know, we got into today, there have already been many meltdowns and many I quits and some I don't even want to do this anymore. And I had talked to a couple of our other members about some of these things and some like how we all process things as we're going into con crunch mode, and we're in the sort of like last and final hours of prep before we hit the con floor. And, you know, especially as we're getting older, I just don't have the energy for all-nighters anymore. So there's no part of me that's like, yeah, I'm just going to pull an all-nighter and get it done. Absolutely not. Kudos to those people. Kudos to those cosplay warriors. But that guy is not this guy. Not today. Not anymore. But, you know, one of the things that I've realized in my older age is that there's a lot of sort of bad habits that you get into when you start doing this stuff, especially because, you know, a lot of people are working full-time jobs or they have kids or, you know, other life things happening. And so you're like, it's cool. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to put it off. And then I'm going to pull an all-nighter and it's going to be fine and all of this. And I think that there's kind of a lot of like mental ups and downs that happen as we get into especially this portion, you know, of like, oh my God, I have this many things I wanted to get done and I'm only going to be able to do so many of them. So how do I prioritize, and do I still have a costume if I can't finish this? It gets to be kind of overwhelming. And as I've had to go through similar things for other aspects of my life, particularly with my job or jujitsu, I've learned a couple things that are helping keep me out of the weeds a little bit better than I used to, which is not to say that I didn't still have several meltdowns in the last week. I totally have, but I know how to recover more quickly. And so I thought maybe I would take this opportunity to put out a podcast about what I do to kind of stay out of the weeds, keep my head in the game, and to stop from totally melting down and giving up on something. Because the last thing any of us really want, at least for cosplayers, is to get out on the con floor and not have our costume on because we gave up on it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Yeah, so just a little background. I've been cosplaying for a very, very long time. I don't even know how many years. I was a Halloween baby, so I've always costume. Like I had several costumes every Halloween, and like my mom usually would make them, and my dad would help me make them. But you know, eventually I started making my own. I also, just for context, I have body dysmorphia. I have a lot of self-image, self-esteem issues, identity issues. I struggle, like most people do, with imposter syndrome and a lot of other, you know, sort of negative feedback, like mental negative feedback loops. I'm not going to get too far into the psychology of all that stuff because I am not a psychologist and I'm not going to pretend to be. I've been in a whole lot of therapy for a really long time, so there are some things that I do know about this, but I'm going to try to focus on, you know, what works for me in combating some of the negative self-talk, whether it's because of depression or OCD, ADHD, wherever, or just because whatever, you know, maybe your parents just told you were never good enough or you never got an attaboy or whatever it is. But I have always struggled with this and I still struggle with this. and have to consistently like have my therapist reassure me that I'm actually in maintenance mode and that it's not actually, something that's controlling my life anymore. And so a lot of it, boils down to basically like not feeling good enough somehow, right? And the way that this was explained to me recently, and I'm picking up things, here from my therapist, from from some women's performance stuff, which is, shout out to Natty Boss from Body by Boss LLC, who just recently I finished her performance blueprint program for jiu-jitsu. But a lot of the way that this has been explained to me is in terms of limiting beliefs, right? So I can't, neither can you, nobody can control this sort of, stuff that gets stuck in our head. These ideas that stay with you and are pervasive throughout our lives. The belief systems that we acquire are acquired by our environment, right? They're acquired by the people around us, sometimes our parents, sometimes schoolmates, or whatever, however they get there. But limiting beliefs are things that basically stop you from succeeding, right? So in this case for me, it comes down to really two things: my body dysmorphia, my self-image issues, and then feeling like I'm not a good enough cosplayer and feeling like I'm not worthy somehow to be on the show floor in my costume for whatever reason. So these two things, these two ideas, right, are so pervasive that sometimes it has prevented me from going to cons or to events or from talking about certain things. Sometimes I'll shut down and I don't want photos taken. It's looked like a lot of different things throughout my life. For the most part now, I'm past all of that. I still have moments. I think I'm always going to have moments. I think that's the difference is, now I recognize that those beliefs are there and I may not be able to change them because they're kind of ingrained in me at this point, but I can change how much they're running the show. And that's a little bit about, kind of what I want to try to help other people if I can, in these last moments, help you do, right? So my limiting beliefs again are that like I'm attractive, my body is gross, I suck at cosplay, I'm unworthy of being on the con floor. So one of the things that, sort of like a deeper thing to do if you have the time to sit with this stuff is to try to reframe some of those things, which for me can look like, what, we hear a lot, especially with body positivity and representation in cosplay and all those things, like I'm super here for that stuff, but sometimes the positivity just doesn't feel authentic to me, and you can't tell yourself something that doesn't feel authentic to you. So you kind of have to walk it there, right? So I can't get on the con floor and say, I totally love my body, I'm killing it. It's not going to happen for me. Not to, there are days that's just not going to happen. So instead, reframing that belief of like I'm gross or something like that might sound like, I don't love my body today, but I appreciate that it's carrying me through this experience, right? That's more in line with body neutrality. So instead of being like, I super love my body's great, I'm beautiful at any size, any shape, any color, or whatever, it's more just like trying to appreciate your body for what it can do. Jiu-jitsu helps me a ton with this, because, at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, might be a little bit thick in these pants, they might not fit the way I wanted them to, or I hoped that they would by this point, but you know what? I definitely choked the crap out of somebody with my thighs yesterday. So it's okay. They're serving a purpose. They're there for a reason. They're there to choke dudes when they piss me off or whatever. Like joking, kind of. But there's reasons that your body's the way that it is. Your body's actually fine the way that it is. It's just very hard to make myself believe that, and especially, I'm sure I'm not the only person struggling with this in the cosplay world. That's why I'm talking about it. But again, reframing it is something more like that and more like, what? I'm going to just take a moment while I'm kind of like, I feel away. I'm going to take a moment while I'm at this con for 3 days to appreciate that my body is enabling me to get through this thing, to do like this mad dash marathon of like walking a con floor and doing all the things and, you know, whatever for 3 whole days. That is crazy. My body is awesome. Thank you, body, for that. Right? So it's trying to pivot what you think into, like, you know, whatever that belief is, instead of trying to quiet it or tell it to shut up, or tell it. Sometimes, like, it just makes it louder. So if you can kind of pivot it and be like, okay, I see you, but also this, right? Also like, my body's kind of awesome. Or maybe my body or my cosplay is not where I want it to be, but I worked really hard to get here, and I should be proud of how far I've come. Because, you know, God, if you ever need a reminder, look back at when you first started. If you are first starting, look back at the fact that you've never done it before, right? You came from somewhere. Everybody started somewhere, and you should, no matter what you're doing, and this is like my biggest piece of like truth for anybody trying to do anything, trying to be great at anything, or even okay at anything, it's that you do not get better by not doing it, right? It doesn't matter if you're not the best. It doesn't matter if you can't compete. You know, what's that phrase? Comparison is the thief of joy. Super true. Stop comparing yourself to other people. But realize that you're on your own journey, and that if you want to get better at whatever you're doing, you just got to keep doing it. If you keep showing up, you will get better. Inevitably, you have to. You will get better. Maybe some people get better at a faster rate. Maybe some people are more talented. But, you know, hard work will compensate for talent. Hard work trumps talent anytime. If you keep showing up for yourself and for whatever you're doing, you will get there. No matter how hard that is to believe sometimes, right? So again, this is sort of the deeper stuff. Like, if you have time to sit with yourself and be like, you know what, this is how I'm feeling, but here's how we're going to reframe this to be a little bit more positive, or at least to not, you know, be me kicking my own butt. I don't need that right now. It's not productive. It's not helping anything. Let's move it along, right? So that's kind of reframing and trying to kind of pivot these deeply held beliefs that maybe we can't change into something a little that can help you keep going, or help you be motivated to do whatever it is you're doing. So part of this too is just, and you know, in terms of body neutrality, right? A lot of this is just, but even not that, right? Even talking about cosplay, a lot of it is just being okay with where you're at while you're a work in progress. So that, you know, as I said, you have to really think about what you're doing it for. What is your why? Why are you here? Why are you doing it? Where do you want to go with it? And what are you going to do to show up for yourself, right? And that's what you kind of have to like keep in the, like, the carrot at the end of the stick, keeping you going. Because it's not about, you know, like, oh, I'm the best, I'm the worst, I'm the this, I'm the that. No, like, it's about your journey. It's about you learning. It's about building a skill, or building an art form, or building yourself, proving to yourself that you can do it, giving yourself a challenge and accomplishing it. And maybe it didn't go the way that you wanted it to this time, but being work in progress is okay. And realistically, like, that is the whole point of Trashgoblins, is that you're fine where you're at. Yes, keep going. Yes, keep learning. Yes, keep hustling. Yes, keep trying. Keep trying new things and fail. Fail often. Fail all the time. Because that's how you learn. You learn by failing. You don't learn by succeeding. I mean, you learn a little bit, but you learn a lot more from failing. You learn a lot more from messing up and being like, oh, I didn't realize that was going to happen. I can't tell. I mean, come on. Everybody, I think, that has ever done any kind of cosplay has probably made some mistakes, probably with hot glue, if not other things. And you've realized, like, okay, well, yeah, lesson learned. Not going to do that again. I think I threw away like $100 worth of silicone last year because of a screw up in some like chemistry or some calculations that I had done. So, you know, it happens. It's okay. It's not going to happen again now, right? So you just kind of see yourself where you're at and keep moving forward. And then in addition to like not, just kind of trying to be okay with where you're at. And again, I can't stress enough, do not compare yourself to other people. That is how a lot of us get in that like negative headspace, is thinking like, again, I don't deserve to be here. I don't deserve to put on a cosplay and do this with these people. They're so much better than me. They're so much cuter. They, whatever it is, whatever is going through our heads, any number of things. But it's learning to walk that back a little bit and say, you know what, that's their journey. I don't know where they started. You don't know what they're walking onto the floor with. You don't know how long they've been cosplaying. You don't know if they've had classes, if they've gone for private lessons. There's a lot of things that you don't know about where that person's coming from. So in those circumstances, you have to just kind of step back for a second, evaluate, and say, well, you know what? This isn't about them, it's about me. This is about me. I need to focus on what I'm doing and not worry about what everybody else is doing. And, track your own journey from your own perspective and for yourself, and not against somebody else's. So now that we've gotten through some of the background and some of the mental hurdles and that kind of stuff, I want to try to give some tips on how to get through the final, 24 or so hours of con crunch before C2E2, and how to kind of help yourself feel confident on the floor to get you there, to get you feeling good, and to hopefully, make it the best experience that you can have. So first of all, systems check. I posted a video about this last year, and I was talking about getting up and working out in the morning. You don't have to do all that. That just it does help me feel a little bit more confident. Just because I know that, like, I feel like it helps me feel like I'm doing something about something. It also helps me work out some nervous energy. So I feel a little bit more like invigorated starting out. However, like I said, you don't have to do all that. But what I call the systems check is, making sure that your body is as functional as it possibly can be. This is a marathon. It is a marathon and not a sprint. We said this in the last podcast. I can't say it enough. Make sure you are hydrated. Bring a water bottle with you. Keep it with you in your hand at all times. Keep drinking water. You will get so dehydrated just walking around all day. And also, I think most people are dehydrated permanently all the time anyway. Right, so make sure you have water. It wouldn't hurt to have a liquid IV or something in the morning before you start. I always start with a liquid IV or something, so that even if I'm going to have a beer or something like that, I'm not getting, dehydrated and feeling gross. You get like crabby from dehydration, if not more so than you do from being hangry. So just keep that in mind. Like when you're kind of on the floor and you're starting to lose it a little bit, drink some freaking water. Second, of course, is food. Not just any food. Don't rely on just like getting a pizza or like a pretzel. Give yourself some actual nutrients. Start early in the morning. Get breakfast before you go. I mean, for no other reason than because con food is not great and it's also expensive. You can bring food in. You can bring a backpack. Bring yourself some snacks. Try to get stuff with a lot of protein and a lot of veggies, which is like hard to do, but you can, like, I'm not saying eating raw vegetables or anything like that, but try to just make sure that you're covering your bases, but especially protein, because you're going to need something to fuel you through the day, and not sugars, not like highly processed sugars, because that stuff will make you crash. I know it's like, in an emergency, in a pinch, have a salty snack and have a sugar snack, so you kind of can get a little boost if you need to, or so you can like hold your water a little bit better if you're getting dehydrated, but definitely try to get something a little more substantial in your system if you can. And of course, the last one is sleep. Don't pull all-nighters, guys. I know you want to get it done, but if you can, just try to prioritize the things you absolutely need to get done so that you can walk onto the con floor even if you're sans a couple things or things are not perfect. Perfection is another problem. I didn't talk about it much, but perfectionism is a huge, huge problem, especially in cosplay. I get it. We all want our shit to be perfect, but let's be real, guys. We're human beings. And it's okay to not be perfect. Give yourself permission not to be perfect. Get some freaking sleep. Get some sleep. You will be happier. Everybody around you will be happier. Nobody needs to be grumpy on a con floor. Please get some sleep. Okay? All right, so that's my systems check. The next thing is usually in the morning. So if you know, like I said, we talked about limiting beliefs. You have ideas, that are kind of your baseline of how your brain operates for whatever reason. And especially when you get anxious or nervous or overwhelmed, that bad feedback loop, that like negative self-talk gets really loud, really loud, really, really, really loud. So one of the ways to offset that is first thing in the morning when you wake up, set your intentions. Like people used to say that to me and I'm like, that is some hippie shit. I don't like, and I mean, I've mimicked being a hippie for a while, but I always was like, oh man, these guys with their granola, whatever. But for real, set your intentions. Like, and what I mean by that is like, when you wake up, think of like, take a moment before you do anything to process, okay, maybe go to the bathroom first, but then take a moment to kind of think through your day a little bit. Think about how you want it to go. Think about what you're going to do for yourself to make it happen. And by the way, that should start with your systems check. But think about how you want to show up for yourself today. I want to be, I'm dressing as Lagertha. I'm going to be a freaking warrior today. Or, what do you want to accomplish? And for me, that can look like a lot of things. So today I'm going to try to network with 3 new local cosplayers because we're a local cosplaying group and we want more friends. So I'm going to make an effort to talk to 3 new people today. Right? That's my goal. That's my intention today. Or I'm going to make sure I'm eating and drinking water so I don't get hangry waiting in line for my autograph. Or I'm going to ask for help with my costume if I need it. And for me, that's code for like, instead of getting like raging angry that nobody's helping me fix my makeup or my like seeing that my safety pin needs re-safety pinning or whatever it is. Or like, for example, I'm feeling unsafe in my own skin today. I just don't feel good. And you know what? I'm just not going to take photos. I'm going to uphold my boundaries. No photos today so that I can just focus on having fun and I don't have to think about what I look like. Which sounds crazy for a cosplayer, but it is not crazy. There are a lot of us. You are not alone. If that's you, I see you. I'm that person too. Okay. Sometimes I'm going to practice saying, thank you for asking, but I'm not taking photos today. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. Nobody should ask you any questions after that. High five. Thanks, dude. It could look like I didn't sleep well last night because I was up late finishing my costume and I still have 2 more days left of this con. I should go home a little early and rest. I never do that. That's the advice I'm going to give to myself, but I really hope that I take it because I got a lot of makeup costumes this year. I'm going to need to take that advice and I'm going to hold myself to that. I'm going to try to hold myself to that. So should you. Could look like I'm going to challenge myself to act confident in my cosplay, even though I don't feel confident. Because fake it till you make it is real. It's real for a reason. Because we'll come back to that. It could also look like if I start feeling anxious or overwhelmed, I'm going to go find somewhere to take a break rather than becoming reactive. Because I personally get really agitated when I'm anxious or fidgety, so I need to find a way to work that out or take a moment to like chill out and recognize it. Otherwise, I'm just like snapping at people and it's no fun. So we're going to do these things because we want to continue to try to have fun and make the most of all of the money and time you spent to go to this con, right? You want to last. You want to make it fun. You want to cherish every moment because it's like every year is its own experience. I can't emphasize how awesome it is to get to go to these things and to be part of it this year. So I have to really this is me talking to myself here, right? Like I really have to sell this to myself so that I don't just collapse because I have collapsed before. Okay, so that's setting our intentions, right? So that's kind of like from the get-go, say like, you know what? I'm going to give myself this goal. This is what I'm going to do, and this is how I'm going to show up for myself today, right? Some of the other things that help me a lot is practicing affirmations. Affirmations are something that's kind of like just a short saying or something that you'll say in the morning, and a mantra is a short version of that, to kind of like give you, it's like when your brain is hungry, or like if, think of it like when you're hungry, right? And you've been starving yourself all day, and then the first thing that you see is candy. Great, but that's not nutrition, right? Like that's not going to keep you full. That's not going to give you energy. It might give you a short spurt, but it's not going to carry you through the day. But that's, when you're starving, you'll eat anything. And candy, I guess, is a bad example because you eat candy anyway. But say you're out in the woods, in the wild, something like that. The first thing that comes along, you're going to eat it. You're going to eat whatever garbage is there because you're starving. Your brain is the same way. If you starve your brain from positive things, it's going to just take whatever information it can. And for some of us, that means it's going to take mostly negative information. My brain is wired to look for the negative. So sometimes to offset that, if I start in the morning, start early in the day, just like you start with a good breakfast, start with some good affirmations to get some good stuff into your brain. And for me, that can be something like, you know what? Maybe I don't feel great today, but I actually think I look pretty good. I think this is going to be great. Or it can be, that's sort of just like a whatever affirmation. But for me, sometimes it's, especially if things are chaotic or I'm worried about my anxiety, it'll be something like, I have all the time in the world. That's a good one if you're right now trying to crunch your way through your last costumes or props or whatever it is you're working on. I have all the time in the world, because for me, that's like stopping myself from meltdown and stopping myself, because, I will get to a point at some point tonight, I'm sure, where I hit a wall and I just fall down and start crying. And I'm hoping that my affirmation is going to carry me through that. They have so far of, I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not wearing this costume because I'm just so tired, so exhausted, and I don't have enough time to do it all, so why do any of it? Right? So I will repeat to myself, sometimes out loud, I have all the time in the world. I get to choose how I spend my time. That's an especially important one if you have a lot of distractions from other people or other things. Some of the other ones I go to are things like, I'm the calm in my own storm. And that's one that's good for like when things are chaotic and things feel, especially like in a convention setting, when there's lots of people and lots of things and you're overstimulated. I have to kind of bring myself back to my center and be like, I'm the calm in my own storm. I can be calm. I can be calm. Right? So those are the kinds of, and it can be anything. It can be anything that makes you feel good. About yourself, about your cosplay, about your day, about anything, right? Cosplay gives you some awesome ones because we're going there dressed as like superheroes and villains and like all kinds of cool stuff. I'm freaking Lagertha, Shield Maiden, like whatever it is. Like I'm flapping Superman. I'm gonna cruise through this con. Like it doesn't matter what it is, but like definitely use your cosplay in your affirmations. It is helpful, especially if you start early in the morning, because then you're like getting your head into the psyche of like the costume that you're presenting. You'll feel more in character. And that's the thing, is like this is an embodied art. It's not just like I'm gonna do a thing and it's gonna sit over there. It's part of you. It's on you. You wear it, you perform it. It's a whole thing. So, I couldn't recommend something better than starting your day with like a good breakfast and some affirmations and be like, dude, I am this. I am, let's see. What am I? I'm freaking Mondo Gecko. Cowabunga, dude. Like, just even thinking about that costume and thinking about Mondo Gecko makes me smile immediately, and then makes me like, yes, I can't wait. I can't wait to like skateboard through the con. Yes, it's gonna be great. I cannot skateboard, by the way, and that skateboard I can't stand on it because it's like, it is a real skateboard, but whatever. But you get the idea. Like use that in your affirmations for cosplay, because it will only help you kind of like embody what it is, you're putting on. And so, like, that's kind of a nice thing about being like, about doing cosplays, that you have some you should have some ready to go ones. And also because you don't have to act like you don't have to act like you don't have to like perform yourself. You get to perform however you want. Nobody's gonna know. You can be whoever you want on that con floor in your costume, and nobody will know the difference. That's easier for some people than others. I have a very hard time with that sometimes. If I don't connect with the character on some level, I have a hard time even taking pictures, because I just, especially like I'll do Red Sonja, and I always get photographers who are like, yeah, look like you're gonna chop somebody's head off. I'm like, I'd rather look like I'm standing on top of a goblin drinking a beer, because that's more my vibe. So it's, but in any case, like, affirmations and mantras are good. Keep them on you. Keep them in your back pocket. Repeat as often as you need to really feel yourself in that character. Or it may even be something that character says, I'm trying to think of good examples. Cowabunga is all that comes to mind right now. Okay, so that's affirmations. Another pro tip here, good vibes, okay? What you put out, you're gonna get back. Practice going around and complimenting people. That is actually very hard to do. It's hard for a lot of people to do. But what you're doing then by doing that, besides just putting out positive vibes and being a decent person, is that you are approaching things with curiosity and with wonder, right? And appreciation. And that by itself will rewire your brain. Promise. It's proven. That's like, ask anybody who knows way more about psychology or any of that stuff than I do. That will bring you up. Plus, if you compliment somebody, you'll probably get complimented back. So hey, yeah, great. Now you have enough. Sometimes, you don't know. I don't like when I need validation from other people, but it freaking helps. It helps a lot. So just, if you're really kind of like, you're starting to get to the point where my affirmations aren't working, I just feel like away, just go around and compliment people. Nothing will make you feel better than that. I promise you that. Okay? So, and this is especially if you struggle with your body type, skin tone, being, of whatever, maybe neuroatypical or physically different somehow, or whatever the case may be, right? And especially when you have limiting beliefs that make that stuff very loud, telling you, I can't do this, I can't do that. Sometimes it's like, I can't cosplay this because that's not my body type, or I can't cosplay this because that's not my skin tone, or I can't cosplay this because, I'm in a wheelchair, or what, it runs the gamut. We all feel that. That's why representation is important. We're going to circle back to that one too. But if you struggle with your body type, and if you struggle with loving something about yourself, I challenge you to go find those people at the con. Find three this weekend that represent you and whatever the thing is that you don't like about yourself, and stop and appreciate them for a minute. Go appreciate them, compliment them, and take it in. Sit with it. Because that's how you switch your brain. That's how you start to make your brain see, hey, look at that. That's so cool, beautiful, well designed, whatever. Show yourself that it's okay. Give yourself positive examples of what you consider representative of you. Give yourself permission to love yourself. That is, for me, one of the most important ones, because we are all too hard on ourselves, and it's so easy. We're in a world where everybody's beating each other up mentally and in every other way. So go out of your way to find somebody that you think represents you in some way, or that thing about you that you just have a hard time loving, and just go appreciate it. It's easier to do if it's on somebody else. And also conversely, one of the things that I have to tell myself when I'm starting to have that negative self-talk about, you look like this and whatever it is, is I would think like, would I ever say that to my best friend? No. No, you would not. No, you would not. So don't say it to yourself. All right, next tip. And I already kind of brushed up on this one a little bit. Say no to photos if you don't want to take them. Keep your boundaries. If you have to protect yourself by saying, just even wearing a badge or something that says no photos, please, then do that. It's okay. It's okay to have boundaries. It's okay to tell people no. It can be a mental struggle to feel like you have to be on and posing at all times because you don't know when or where you'll see that photo reappear or whatever the case may be. Or just in general, I get like that sometimes too, where I'm just, it's sort of, especially if you're an introvert, it can be draining to have people ask you for a photo all the time. I know that we are wearing costumes, et cetera, that doesn't mean we're quote unquote asking for it, okay? Like if you want to say no, you're allowed to say no. And maybe that's one of your affirmations. I have permission to say no, okay? If you don't want photos, and it doesn't have to be rude, like treat people with kindness. They will treat you with kindness back. Just keep it simple. Say like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take photos today, but thank you so much for asking. That's it. You don't owe an explanation to anybody either. So don't worry about having to explain it to everybody. Just kind of, and if you have to, practice saying that. Thank you so much for asking, but you know what? I'm not going to take any photos today. And that's it. That's it. Mic drop, walk away. All right, so another tip, and I a little bit started talking about this too. If you start getting anxious, overwhelmed, or in your feels about something, go take a time out. There are quiet spaces all over the con. I did not know this until this year, but there are. They have like designated quiet spaces. You can go use one of those. We actually have a coloring station at our booth in Cosplay Central. So if you want, you can come hang out, color for a little bit, and everybody will just leave you alone. You can just take some crayons and color. We will give you some crayons to take home and some stickers. You can bring headphones. I like to make a playlist of songs that I know will help like turn my mood around. By the way, it's usually Disney. It is also sometimes Gaga. And sometimes it's a mix of like very high energy stuff that I listen to when I'm sparring for jiu-jitsu or for when I'm competition training, because I hate running. So I need something that's going to make me feel like I'm dancing instead of running if I'm going to do that. Highly recommend that. But yeah, go find a quiet space, take a breather, sing along to your music, and breathe. Focus on breathing. When your heart starts racing and you start hitting that fight, flight, or freeze mode, breathing is the only thing that will help you reset. So, take the time, listen to music, however you want to do it. Focus on your breath, breathe in, breathe out, and give yourself permission to feel your feelings, but then try to transition to your affirmations, which you started your day with because you were so prepared. Cool? Cool. All right. And this is going to be, I think, my last tip for you. Remember that wherever you are, with yourself, with your cosplay, your body, your mind, your life, somebody out there is looking up to you. Somebody on that con floor is going to see you and think, wow, that person is so awesome. Someone in your life is doing the same thing. Doing nothing will change nothing. Going out there and doing the damn thing is not only the only way to get past the discomfort, but it's the only way to get better at it. The more you do it, the more resilience you build to that anxiety, and the easier it becomes to move past it, right? So remember, like what I like to tell myself when I'm in that moment, no matter how badly I'm feeling about myself or my work or anything else, is that I challenge myself to be the representation that I didn't get. I challenge myself to be that person that I didn't have. So I give myself permission. That's how I give myself permission. Was like, we all deserve better. I shouldn't have to feel this way. I don't want other people to feel that way. And if that means that if I have to lead from the front and I have to be the one out there showing up and showing out so that other people can do it and that other people feel brave enough to do it, then cool, I can do that. And so can you. So can you. And if you ever need somebody at the con to just be like, you can do this, you got this, and you need some cheerleaders, come by the Trashgoblins Inc. table in Cosplay Central, and I promise you, we got you. And with that, cannot wait to see you all at C2E2 this weekend. Take care of yourselves, guys. Good luck in the last hours of Con Crunch before C2E2. We love you. We cannot wait. We cannot wait to hang out with y'all this weekend.